Okay, I do. I think I can do. Continue, sir.
Okay. So if you're all seeing, this is a simple control flow. Instead of going directly to work, you have to stop and check whether it is raining or not. If it is raining, you pick up an umbrella, then go to work. This is the simplest form. Another form is when you have two options. Like if you check it is raining, you pick up an umbrella, you go to work. If it is not raining, then you do something. You pick up sunglasses, maybe it is sunny, then you go to work. This is another type. And the other type is the one you keep checking. If it is this, then you go for the next. This is it raining? Yes, you pick umbrella. No, then you ask yourself, is it sunny? Then you pick sunglasses. This is another one. You ask yourself again, is it cold? Yes, you pick up a jacket. No, then there should be a default statement of what to do if all of these are false. Then before you go to work. Sorry, I didn't put the arrow here. This tool is very easy to create charts. You should give it a try. Draw.io on the website. Okay, so enough with the example. Let's go back to our code. So how do we ask this kind of questions like is it raining? Then you have to compare two variables, whether it is raining or not. So this is the use of the equal operator. You put two equal signs, like this one. If yes is equals to yes, evaluates to true because they are the same. So this is the answer. So to show this example, I'm going to open the coding environment. Actually, some people have mentioned that I didn't, introduce PyCharm, which is a very good, IDE. You can download it from this website, jetbrains.com, or you can just Google PyCharm. You should download this is the free version, the one in black, which is free and open source. This one is trial version, and you have to pay after some time. You download this one. Its operation is slightly different from the normal ones we use. When you open it, it will be something like this. I hope you can see this. You have to start with a project. Actually, creating a project for any Python program is really important because you can put all your dependencies, which we'll cover later, the modules in the same package. So for this one, I will just go to new. It will load. Yeah, you can see here, it gives me the option for all the Pythons I have installed in my computer. I have 3.8, 2.7, I have 3. So you select the one you want to use for this particular project. Sometimes I may decide to use the 2.7, but this is the latest version. I will select this one, and I will just, the name, you can enter the name of the project here. Let's say we call it OAAD project. So you can just click create. The environment is very similar to the other ones. It will create a default file called main.py, where you put all your code in the main program. This is some tip. You can just close it. It's taken a little bit long time. I don't know what is happening. But normally it's not slow like this. Yeah. It's still creating the environment. Yeah, almost done. So while we wait, it's almost finished. Yeah, you can download this PyCharm and work with it. It is also very convenient to use. It has all the features of the IDEs like syntax highlighting, code completion. That is when you start typing a function, it will just finish it for you. So it usually starts with this main.py. It's a file it's created automatically, and it defines a function print hi. So to run this one, you can just go to this play button by the right side. Yeah, you see it has already printed down here, hi PyCharm. So maybe today we will be using PyCharm for this kind of thing. I'm quickly going to delete all this and try one of our if statements. Okay. So the if statement we have there is if you have to give a test condition. So test conditions usually, like if you have a word written here, yes, and another one, this is still, these are all strings, right? Then you will have to give a semicolon. Then what to do if this is true? So we'll say, yeah, it is true. So you can see down here, it has printed this, it is true. So whatever you actually test here is going to be the output. In the other example, the one I showed you here, you can see the control flow. We have one here. This one is 3 loops. This one is just one option. So we use special commands for that. To show that, I will go back to the slides. Forget about this. These are all used for comparison. We have the not equal to sign. That is, sometimes you want to test whether it is this or not that. Like if you want to find whether the number is always 2, like here. If val1 is not equals to 2, you are not testing whether val1 is equals to 2, but you want the opposite. That is when it is not. So you use this exclamation point and equal sign. I'm not going to take much time so that we will not fall into the same thing that happened last time of time. So this is if statement. If statement is used for the first type I show you in the control flow. If something is true, then it will do what is here, then it moves to the next code. Example here, if test value is equals to 1000, print this code is not executed because the value has been already defined over here. So to do something with numbers, let me just quickly try another one. Let's say we define a value here. Let's call it, I don't know, balance. Let's give it maybe 52.5. Okay. So here we can test if. So this is the advantage of using an IDE. When I've started writing balance, it already gives me the value here. So to select this value, I will just hit the tab button. It will complete it for me. So I don't have to type everything that I've already defined before, unlike the idle we used last time. So here, balance, I can say it's equals to 100 to test for this condition. Then maybe we'll print it is equal to 100. So this is a simple if statement where, because this is not equals to 100, you see nothing is printed here. But I can change this equality sign to less than or equals to. So if it is less than or equals to 100, you will see something will be printed. Yeah, it is equals to 100. Sorry for my error here. So this is another simple one. But what if you want to test and test again, like in the previous example that we had? So not that confused, let's create a variable. Let's say is it raining? Let's call this variable and give it a Boolean of true. I told you Boolean are type of variables that you can use only with 2 variables, right? True or false. So here I'm going to edit this one to write, to simulate our example there. If is it raining? So the thing is, if I put it like this, it will just test this value, whether the value itself is true. Then it will print it is raining. That is what advantage of using booleans. You see, it is raining. So from our flow chart, what we will use here is, if it is raining, what is the answer? We pick up an umbrella. This is for the first example. If I want to do the other type, let me just go here and I'll create a comment so that it differentiates from the other one. This is if else. That is, you have two conditions to check. If one is failed, then it should do the other. To do that, I will come and write if is it raining is true, then it will print similar to that one, pick up an umbrella. What about if it is not? Then you write else, then you print what to do for the second option. Okay, I hope this is clear. In our example, if it is not raining, you will just pick up sunglasses, and maybe it's sunny, he'll just go outside. Okay, so I will test this one. You can see it is raining. The first one is still giving me pick an umbrella. This is for the second one. So what about if we change, is it raining to false? When we change it like this, now the first one, it doesn't have anything to do when it is false. So it will not print anything. But this guy, because it has an else statement, will print the pick of sunglasses. You can see it down here, correct? Yeah, so that is the function of using the if else. The third example, which is, we have if we test again, is it raining? Yes. What do we do? Let me save time by copying this. Okay. Sorry. Instead of saving time. So the next one, instead of you to type else, you have to write else if is like a combination of else and if. It's called elif. So else, then you now ask, is it, I forgot what was the question there. We are doing the third type. So if it is raining, yeah, the next one is it sunny? So I haven't defined this variable, so I have to go up there and define it. Is it sunny? So I will give this variable true. Okay. So what to do? For this one, we'll print the same thing. To differentiate it, I will just write something. Pick up cool sunglasses. Since it is sunny, maybe, and a bottle of water. So now we will run this. You can see for the if else condition, it print out pick up sunglasses. For this one, is it raining is false as defined before, and is it sunny is true, then it printed this pick up cool sunglasses and a bottle of water. So this is not all we have to ask. We have to ask another question. Else if, from the chart there, is it cold? Yeah. Is it cold? You can see this one is highlighted in red because I didn't define that function. You can define the variable, you can still define it anywhere, not necessarily at the top, but usually people do it at the top so that when you are looking for the particular variable, you can easily go to it. So I make this one true, then I will come and print here, pick up a jacket. So I will change the sunny to false so that it will skip it to show you that it can go to the third loop. So now when we print this one, you can see the last line is pick up a jacket. I hope this control flow is clear. Now we'll go back to the slides. This if statement, we have tried that one. Else, the one with if and else, we have already covered this one. And this is the else if. Like in this example, you see they define a pet type to be equals to fish. Then if pet type is equals to dog, then print you have a dog. If it is cat, you print you have a cat. The default statement is if all the options you given are not among the one they test, that is why we always have this else. Then you have to print not sure. A quick example about this is when most of us now use Alipay and WeChat to pay for something. When you want to pay, usually the program will ask what you want to pay 100 Kwai to some vendor, then it will ask whether your balance is up to 100. If it is not up to 100, then it will check for your bank. If the first bank also doesn't have, it will check for the next. So this is kind of the else if statement. Maybe when we have time after we finish, we can write a simple program to do that. So now we know how to control the variables. We have to control the flow of the program, I mean. So what if we have a bunch of variables that we want to use? For example, I'm going to delete this. Let's say we have a fruit list, like in the example there. We have, let's say we call this one fruit 1. We have apple. Fruit 2, we call it banana. They are all strings, so you have to enter this is another thing with the IDEs. You can highlight something and press the apostrophes, the inverted comma, I think it can just. So we have another fruit. Let's go back to that. Fruit 3, let's call that one maybe cherry. So these are all strings, but what if I have like 1,000? Anytime I want to call each of the strings, I have to use its name. I have to use the name. Like here, if I want to print, I have to say fruit 3. Fruit 3, yeah. So that is it. That is cherry. Cherry is spelled with 2 R's, I think, yeah. So it says in this one, when you have something that are similar, it's not advisable to use, unless they are very few, maybe 3 to 10, yeah. But when it goes to hundreds, then we have to go to something called lists. List, as defined here, is a collection which is ordered and changeable. By ordered, it means one comes after the other. This is just if you want to create example of this fruit list, then this is how we write it. They are written with the spare brackets. So I will instead of that, I can create my list, just call it fruit. I will go here and then I will start writing apple, separated by commas, then banana, then cherry. So instead of calling it all by the name, then we have to use the square brackets here, and you enter the index. Since they are in a list, then they have some order. That's why it's called they are ordered. The index is the number. So let me put 1 here. When I print this, you will be surprised to see that it's print out banana. Then what happened to apple? Apple is the first one. So this is something called zero indexing. Python uses zero indexing, which means whenever it is going to count something, it counts it from 0. So when I replace this one here with 0, when I print, you will see it print the apple down here. So Python use 0 indexing. Always remember this, because if you forget about this, you can mess up your program. So now we have replaced this long list of variables with 1 here. So what is the advantage of using that? So let's go back to the slides. The list itself is another data type, but it has other functions. I think another thing is you can use the negative indexing. Negative indexing is when you want to start counting backwards. If it is ABC up to the last letter, you are starting from Z, Y, X, coming back. If it is in this our chart, in our list, you are starting from cherry to banana, then to apple. How do we use that? Let's go back to okay. So if I now say print -1, you can see it will print cherry. To try the other one, we need to increase the number of our fruits. Let's call this watermelon. Just for the fun, I will put tomato. I know there is actually a debate about whether tomato is a fruit or a vegetable. So I'm just putting it here for argument's sake. Then what again? Let's say blackberry. Let's put strawberry in there. So we created a long list. Now with the -1, it will print out the last one, which is cherry. What about if I want to print tomato? So for that one, it will be -1, -2, -3. So I will just put -3 here. I can access that one. And still I can access it when I count from here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the actual number when counting from this side, it is 4. So remember, starting from 0 is still tomato. So you can actually play with this however you like. It is very convenient to use when you are writing complex programs. There is, you can change the value in a list. Like now, we know that tomato is in 4, right? So we can change the value of that one. You just call the list fruit, which is the actual listing, and you assign the index, which we know is now 4, and then we give it a value. Let's change it to, let's put mango in there. Now, after I put the mango there, I will again print the list, print the position to see what is happening. Yeah, you can see for the first time it printed tomato was number 4, but after I changed it by using the index, it is now mango. So that is how you access and change the values of list. Another thing is you can check if the list is long, like I told you, you can use thousands, millions. If you want to check whether an item exists in the list, you can actually use this. For this, let's take an example. Okay. So in this, I will delete this fruit basket. You can see if, let's check whether we have strawberry in this list. Sorry, and in this example, we call it fruit. So I want to call it fruit. Now, you can see we are using the if statement we have just covered in control flow. So now it is testing whether this is in this. The keyword here is in. It is used with lists. So we can say if it is there, then print something. There is strawberry in the basket. Okay. So let's test that theory. You can see, yes, there is strawberry in the basket. There will be a trick when maybe I spelled strawberry wrong, then you see nothing is printed because that one is not there in it. You can also use else statement to output whether it is there or not. Another cool thing that we can do with list is you have a list. Somebody gave you a list from data, maybe a file. You read a file, which will not be covered here, how to read a file. But when you read a file with maybe 1,000, or 100,000 variables that are in there, maybe from some experiment or something, you want to check how long is the list. Then that is quickly used using this len. You just then enter but this alone cannot, we have to print it to see what is happening. Unless you want to use it for another calculation, then you can just use it like this. So now we print, we have 7. Let's count. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then what is happening? Although Python is 0 indexing, but when you count the number of things inside, it counts it as individually. So you will still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 fruits in the basket, but their index start from 0 to 6. I don't know whether it is making sense, but this is how the computer thinks. And you have to think also like the computer to be able to work with it. There are 7 people or 7 fruits in the basket, but they are numbered from 0 to 6. So this is that. Yeah, the len function, we have covered this one. Then how do we add something to the list? Okay, to add something to the list, we use this keyword append. Yeah, like, to attach something. So we can actually print the list itself. Okay, I want to use this. So now I will say fruit.append. Let's add orange in there. Orange. And then we print the list again so that we can see what is happening. So when I run this one, you can see the first one, it stops at strawberry. After I use the append, it, add orange there. The difference between using the append and the other one I use when I insert Mongo in there is you can use the index to put it specifically where you want it. Like if you have some order or ranking or something, you want to put it in some index. We use for to input the Mongo, but for append, you usually add it. Like maybe you write a program that people enter their name. So whenever new user enters his name, it automatically added to the end of the list. But when a user wants to edit his name, then that is when you use the index. So you search where the index of his name is, and then if he edit it, you replace it with where his name was before. So that is the difference between these two things. The next one, yeah, this is to add items specific to some index. So let me go back here. I will clean this. Let's say I mistakenly, first I want to add something here in between banana and cherry. I want to put orange there. So what do? I will use this list. Sorry, I'm copying the other example. Fruit, dot insert what? Where do you want to put it? 0, 1, so it will be on the second one. So 2, comma, then you enter orange. Now we will print the list and see what is happening. Now you can see apple, banana, orange. Then it continues like that. So you can actually use the index to put it there. Another thing you can use with list, you can remove an item. There are 4 ways to remove an item. We will take it one by one for you guys to see. Yeah. So each one has its own specific, usage and why we should use it. So imagine, yeah, we deleted this. We still have our fruit basket with 7 fruits. So now you can call the remove keyword. You can see syntax highlighting is giving me, code completion. I can just type, push the tab button and it will go like that. So I can put what I want to delete. Let's say, yeah, we finally agree tomato is the vegetable, not fruit. So we just want it out. So we put it like this. And then let's come down here and print the list. I'll stop deleting this, print the list so that we save time. Now you can see our list has been printed and tomato is not there because we actually remove it. So this is simple. We remove it like this. Then another one we can do is pop. I know some of us that, when we say pop, actually in this kind of thing, it's like when you have a drink and you want to open it, the head will just go up, the cover. So similarly here, when you say pop, it removes the last thing you entered. Actually, just like using index of -1. So let's say fruit dot pop. So you don't give anything here. Sometimes you can give index, but you can leave it blank. Let's print the fruit basket again. Okay, so we run this. Yeah, you can see first we remove tomato from the list. And now because of this pop, strawberry, which is the last guy, has been removed. So that is the use of pop. It removed the last guy. You can insert a value here. Let's say pop2. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it removed 0, 1, 2. It removed cherry. So you can use a number to remove it. But if you leave it blank, it will remove the last guy. It will come in handy depending on the kind of program you are writing. Another one is delete. You can delete with a specific index. Let's say delete. Then I will say fruit. Then I will give the index. Let's say I delete apple, which is index 0. Now let's print and see what happens. If you don't like coming to click on this run every time, you can use Control-R or Command-R if you're on a Mac. That is the shortcut for running the program after you have written it. So now, yeah, you can see Apple is not there because I have removed it using the delete. I can actually delete the entire list. If you leave it like this, it will delete the entire list. Now it will give us error because fruit doesn't exist now. We have deleted it. You can see there is an error. But what if I want to delete all the elements in there without actually deleting the list? So to do that, you cannot use delete. Rather, you have to use something called clear. So clear, you just leave it like this. Now you will see, yeah, the list is empty, only brackets, nothing in between. So that is how we use clear. It can come in handy, like, maybe you have a list and somebody is adding things to his cart, like you do on shopping, online shopping. Then he decided to remove everything at once. Then fruit.clear can clear everything from the cart, and yeah. I don't like use technical example because we come from different backgrounds. So I use like everyday examples to explain this concept. I hope it is helpful, but if you prepare the other things here, you can let me know. So we are done with list. The next thing we are going to look at is loops. So what are loops exactly? There are like 3 kinds of loops used in Python. The most popular one is for loop. For loops, yeah. It is used to iterate over a sequence. This is usually done if you know actually the length of how many times you want to, loop something. You want to just keep doing something that you know. So in this example, you can see in the fruit basket, we are printing each one in a different line. So quickly, let's try that. I will remove this. We have our fruit basket. Then I will go for, the syntax is like this. For, you give an iterator, then in, you give where you want to search for the things, and then you just print whatever you have there. So in this case, you will see it will print it one by one. Yes. Apple, banana, cherry, like this. So this is how we use loops. But when we have a loop like this, sometimes you may want to end it before it finish. In that case, we have to use the break or continue statement. Like in this same example, in this one is you have, when it is printing, if the X, that is, if it find out in this list there is banana, then it break, the thing will stop. Another one is if it finds there is banana, it does nothing, then it continue, which means banana is skipped. I will run this example so that we have, so okay, so let me explain what is happening here. Let me move this guy here. We are saying for X in fruit. So in fruit, this list, it will check each and every one. Each of them is now called X. So for each X in fruit, you print what that X is. So it comes to 0, it finds X is apple, it printed it. We have apple down here. Next, it goes to banana, then it print banana, it was already printed here. Then the next code is if X is equals to banana, then break. So it found that this one is banana, then it break, then it stopped. It didn't print cherry, watermelon, all this one didn't get printed. So that is one case. The way we use continue is, now if I move this if statement here, up here, then if it checks for apple, then it will check whether apple is banana. It is not, then it will not break. It will skip this line and jump to something that is in the same line with the if statement, which is print X. But we change this one to continue, because when you put break, you are actually terminating the for loop. That is why after banana, nothing gets printed in the previous example. So in this one, we want it to continue. If it finds banana, don't print it, then continue with the rest. So in this one, you can see we have all the other guys getting printed. Apple, banana is skipped, cherry, watermelon, tomato, this, yeah. So this is very handy when you have a large data that you want to go through. So another function that is useful in using the for loop is range. Range, actually, you can give a series of numbers from 0 to any arbitrary number. So to show you this, I'm going back to PyCharm again. I will just print the range for you guys to see. Range, let's say 2. Oh, sorry. I cannot use it directly like this, but let me use it in the example there. So for X in range 6, okay. Print, remember your indentation, similarly like the for loop and functions, you have to give some space there so that it will be within this function. No use of brackets. So let's see what is happening here. Okay, so when you have a range, when we say range, it started from, let me write it here as a comment, from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it will stop. Not up to 6. So 6 is not included, but it starts from 0 to 5. When you count the number of the guys there, it will be 6, including 0. So that is why we say range 6. It doesn't go up to 6. This is very important because it can mess up your data and you will be confused at what is happening. This is very good to remember. Another example here, let me print this one for you. You can see here it started from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So another one is when we give a number here from 2 to 6. So this actually will start from 2, 3, 4, 5, but 6 will not be also included, but 2 is included. So yeah, you can see 2, 3, 4, 5. That is another option. So another thing you can do is you can actually give it iterator. Usually the iterator is 1. That is the difference between the one and the next one. Sorry, I didn't, yeah. So this is the default value. It's the same thing as what we did. But what if I make this one to 2? So it will be increasing 2 on it. So we will only have 2 and 4. Let me make it from 0 to 10 so that you understand what I am having here. So this thing goes from, as in start, comma, finish, comma. This is difference. Yeah, we can call it difference. So that is it. So 0 to 10 to 2 actually will print all the even numbers. 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So what about if I use 3? So yeah, it will print 3, 6, 9. So you get how we use this range function. It comes in very handy also when you want to, like in this list now, I want to print something alternatively. You can use it, which is a little advanced for this class. So we have covered a lot in this tutorial, and we have discussed so many examples. But we are only using the data types that are available in Python itself. You can define numbers, you can define booleans, you can define float numbers, integers, what have you, strings. But what if I have something? Let's say I want to define a person. How can I define a person in Python? Or maybe I want to define plants. Maybe I work with plants. Okay, I want to this plant A, it has some properties. Maybe it is botanical name as a string. It is some other variables, Maybe I'm an engineer. Okay, I want to define some cars. Okay, I have a car. This one, number of doors is a variable. Okay, engine capacity is a variable. Height, width, they are all variables. But how can you define it so that Python will know this is a car? So that is why we come to this section called classes. Classes are used to define data type that is not available in Python. You create your own data type and you use it. So let's dive in. This is a simple, declaration of a class. You say class, my class. You know, I have told you the rules of Python. The only time you are allowed to use this capital letter in like this is actually when you are using class, so that when whoever is reading your code, as soon as he saw a capital letter variable or something, he knows that it is a class. So we are going to write this example now so that you understand what is happening. I'm deleting this. I'm going to say class. That is how you start. Then you write, let's call this my class. Then you give whatever you want to give in your class. In this one, they just give x is equals to 5. Then this is outside of my class. I have already finished defining, so I will put a comment. This is outside of the class definition. So now I want to create an instance. They call it instance, an instance of a class. We have defined something called my class. It is on its own a variable. So I can say P1 or whatever you want to call the new variable, like my class. Then you have to put these two things here like this. So now when I say print P1, I can actually call the X I saved there. And then now if I run, I can get the answer 5. I know this example didn't make sense, but it's for you guys to understand. It's an object-oriented programming language. Almost everything in Python is an object. An object is actually like this P1 we have created. It is an object of my class. A class is like an object constructor or a blueprint for creating objects. Like if you want to build something like a house, you have to have the blueprints. So the class definition is actually telling you how to build that. So when you say P1, my class, it already assigned the value of x equals to 5 to P1. So it's like reading drawings and actually building the house. So, but that is a very simple definition of class. To use class effectively, you have to use this function, init function. It's a short for initialization function. The function has to be initialized. So look at this example. I'm going to type it while I explain what is happening. Now, we want to create a person. Like I told you, we can create a person in Python. He may not walk around, but his data will be there. You see, I use capital letter for person. So you have to define this function that actually creates the person. So you will say def, like you define normal functions, then 2 underscores. Yeah, if you start typing init, it will give you this. So usually there is this keyword called self. Self, let's leave it there for now. You will understand what I mean with it later. Well, what it means actually is, if you are creating a new person, then this self is a handle that you can use to call that person itself. So in this example, they give the person a name and age. So we come down here, we say self.name. So the name of the person you are creating now is name, which is the name you inserted when you are creating it. When we call the example, I think it will make sense. Then that age, then now we call this one age. You notice before I type age, the age here is grayed out, which means I haven't used the variable, which is another reason why you should use IDEs. They will tell you your problem before you even run the code. So as I put age, now it turns to white, or so that I know that I have already used it. So I have finished my function. I come back here. I like putting comments. This is outside the class. So I can now create a person. Let's call that first person P1. So to create it, I will just call the class person, but person is actually expecting 2 variables, the one I created, name and age. So you can see it is showing me that, yes, I need name, then an age. So I will start typing name. In that example, it's called John. Then I put comma, then the age, 36. So I have actually created a person now. If I run this now, nothing will happen, but I can actually access the person and print his age. So I can say print, let's start with the name, p1 dot name. I can also print p1 dot age. Now when I run this, I have John 36. So I can, now the computer knows what is a person, and I can actually give a person name and age. So I can create another person, P2. I will call it person, again, not calling it, calling the person class. Then I will enter a name. Let's call this one Do, and then maybe it's a bit older, maybe 45, So now I can come here and also print for the second person, name, and also the age. You can see, yeah, John 36 and Doe is 45. So this is really helpful because now the computer knows how to define a person, and we can actually use this. So when you have a variable that you don't know like how to define it, because instead of doing this, if I'm going to do it the other way around, I will have to go and do something like this. Let me go down here. The reason we did classes, I will have to go and say person 1 name, okay? And then I will write John. Then person 1 age, and then I put 36. I do it for all the people. So if I have like 1,000 people, it will take much time, and I will have a very lengthy code that it will be very difficult to read. But with this one, I will just use P1 is equals to person class, and then you enter the 2 variables, and it save it there if you like forever. So that is the advantage. And imagine if one person has another characteristics, like, apart from name, age, nationality, bank balance, identification number, passport, so many data. So you cannot actually, it's not easy. When I write this one for 100%, if I come to read that data, it will be very difficult for me to understand what I have written myself. So that is why we did classes. I hope this is well understood. So back to the slides. The object methods. Objects can also contain methods. So, programmers like using different words for different things. A method actually is a function. But when a function, the normal function we define, the one I taught you in the first session, normal function, if it happened to be inside a class, then it is called a method. So don't get confused when someone say, I need to call that method to do this one in the algorithm. You will be confused. It's just a function within a class, and it can only be accessed by the members of the class. So let's look at it this way. So we have defined a class. So if I come down here, now I want to define another function, which we call methods. So I can say def, like we define normal function. Then we call this one the hello function, okay? Automatically, as I type the bracket, it puts self there because you need that self to go in there so that the function knows who it is calling. So then it will print what? Hello, my name is plus then self.name. So now you understand why I am using that self, because I want to call the name of that person in the class. So I have to use self, because for each one we run in this one, the name of this guy is John, the next one is Doe, the next one can be different. So we use a general term, which is the self, to specify that person before we even create it. Like it's a placeholder. Yeah, if we have a guy, we will call it something. But for now, let's call it self. I hope this makes sense. So for this one, I'm going to, how do we access that? So we have defined two people. So I can just go to p1 dot hello, like this, simple, you know. So now when I run this, okay, I have some problem. Oh, I accidentally deleted the age here. You see, even before I run the program, it shows something. Let me show you. Some red button here showing that there is error, even before I run it. So I didn't see that. I change this one back now. When I run it, you see, hello, my name is John. So by quickly changing this 1 to 2, now I am accessing the Doe guy. So I can just say print, you see, hello, my name is Doe. So it's very convenient to use classes. Now, another thing is, let's say you want to see how old he is. So I can go there plus and use the string thing. I am then we go there and I write his age, which is self.age. I know that's a problem. Some of you have noticed where the program will come from, but yeah, we can. I want people to know where they are having problem with this problem. So this one, it gave me an error because I told you the print statement in the previous lesson only prints data that is the same. So this one we have string, the name is a string, but the age is a number. So I have to change that number into a string. So to do that, I told you this function str, you open brackets and put the guys inside. So quickly, yeah, now you see, hello, my name is Doe. I am 45 old. So I need some corrections in my code. Space here, and then here we write years old. So yeah, hello, my name is Doe. I am 45 years old. So you can, now I can change back to person number 1 and it will print his data. Hello, my name is John. I am 36 years old. So it's very convenient. Actually, I like classes because it makes the work a lot easier to create, your own data type and manipulate it how you use it. Like in my some of my work, I use this. Like I want to use coordinate systems, points X, Y, Z location, but we don't. The computer doesn't take it as is. Like when I have a point, another point, I want to find its intersect, or I want to draw a line between the 2 points. The computer doesn't take it like that. So I have to define my own class and use it. Although there are some libraries that can use that, which we will cover a lot. But you can define whatever you want using classes and manipulate your own data. So back to the slides. We have covered methods. The next thing is you can modify the objects actually. So going back here. Now we call this person 1. So we will change his age. Maybe he grew in the last 2 hours. P1.age, okay? You can give it a value now. He's 40 now. And then I will say hello again to see what will happen. So you can see, first it says, hello, my name is John and I am 36 years old. The next one is 40 because I can access the data of that person and change that. I can even change the name. I will say p1.name. I will just give a string. Yeah, I can even put my name over there. Yeah, I can just, and now you can see now it's changed. Hello, my name is this and 40 years old. I change the age and name of that particular instance of the class. So that is good thing about classes. Before I conclude the classes, there is something I want to show you. It's not in the slides. Maybe I will put it before I share the slides with you guys. You see, when you have a class, you can create another class that can inherit the properties of the previous class. This in programming is called polymorphism. I know maybe in other science, life sciences, there is something similar, but in programming, it means when you have a child and a parent and it also copies something from the parent. In real life, I think there is so many things that we get from our parents. But with polymorphism in programming, and which maybe in real life is, you can be different from your parents. You copy something, especially the good things, and improve on them to do something that they didn't do. That is why we have the classes with this kind of properties. Usually in life, the only people that actually want you to be better than them are only your parents. Most people, maybe they are okay for you guys to be equal, but for someone to wish that you can be better than them is usually the parents. So the same thing is applied here in programming. So for this example, I'm going to create a class with these properties. Just follow along. I have class. I will call this class car. We are creating a car. So to define the car itself, we will use this. I'm not going to use the init in this example, just to show you this, okay? So I'll have the car can introduce itself, okay? Actually, I can use the def intro at init. And yeah, you can just, it's there doing nothing. So that's why I said I can omit it. Print, let's assume the manufacturers are Mercedes-Benz, their slogan is the best, right? Or nothing. Oh, let me remove this guy so that it will not give us any problem. Because it's started seeing some. Okay. Sorry, I move it. So let me see it today. You see, it's highlighting this function here because I haven't called the function yet. So that is why it's making this. Then we have another function. Okay, we call it drive because what's the use of a car if it can't drive, So this one is when you are driving, what is actually happening is you can see wheels are turning. The wheels are turning. Okay, so I'll come here and created my comment. Maybe this is the main program, where I start calling the functions. So for that, I will create an instance. Let's call this my band, So I'll just call the function like this, car. So with this, I can now say my Benz.intro. It will introduce itself. Then again, my Benz.drive. So let's see. Yes, you can see the intro has been printed, the best or nothing, and then wheels are turning. So the car is driving itself. Yeah, very good. This is the driver. So this is one class. This is the main class. I'm going to go for the second class, which will inherit something. Let's say we decided to, create an electric car. An electric car is like a car, but it has something different. So I will go to class, okay? Electric car. When you have two words in creating a class, you use the camel keys, they call it. So each word is start with a capital letter. So with this one, electric car, I will define a function. Let's call that function recharge, because you have to recharge it, right? So I come down here, what it will print something like recharging ... then print yeah. After some time, the battery is 100%. That is cool. So now I have to come down here and create an instance of my electric car. So let's, Tesla, using electric cars, right? So I will just say electric car with this. Note that here I need to put something. What I need to put, car. I just put the other class, the one I have up here, car. You can see as I put it here, we have something blue here, an arrow coming down. It is telling me that this one has inherited something from this guy. So the electric car will inherit the intro as well as the drive. Let's try to run this one. Take my Tesla. This is a bit advanced, but when you get the hang of it, now we will drive the Tesla. Let's see what will happen. And also let's recharge it. When we borrow someone's electric car, at least recharge it. That will be cool. Yes, you can see the first one are for the Benz owner thing, my wheels are turning. Then the second one, even though in the electric class, I didn't define the function, this function drive, but because it inherited from the car class, it can actually drive itself. So we have wheels are turning. Then now I can call it its own recharge function, which is recharging, then battery is 100%. So this is another thing. Let's say I want to create another class, which is a subclass of this. Let's say your research was so good that you create a levitating car. It will also inherit a car. The properties of car, then we'll have, we define a function for it. Usually levitating cars fly. Yes, so when it is flying, what will happen? Gliding above, normal cars. So we can come down here. I can create, I don't know any company that makes levitating cars, but let's call it my Levit car. Then it is a levitating car instance. Then now my Levit car dot, you can see it can drive because it got it from the other one. And then it can also fly because, it's flying. So you can see wheels are turning, then gliding above normal cars. So this is the thing with the classes. You can create classes that actually copy their data from other things, from their parent classes. This is to indicate the parent class because it has been called. You can see when I click here, it is showing me the subclasses or the children. Electric car and levitating car are all children of the parent class car. So this is all our classes. If you have questions here, we can talk up. Almost there. I have only one section to cover now to complete this thing. So the next thing we are going to look at is modules. Like these classes, some people have developed so many modules that you can use to improve your programming. So what is a module? A module is a file containing Python definitions and statements. The file name is the module name with the suffix .py appended. Within a module, the module's name as a string is available as the value of the global variable name. So for this, I'm going to use some of the examples we have used before with numbers, because numbers sometimes are easier to show this kind of of things. So let's say we have, you want to solve like a mathematical equation, okay? Let's say you want to solve the quadratic equation. We all remember quadratic equation from our secondary school, so high school, yeah. So you can, to do that, the answers in quadratic equation can be real numbers or they can be complex numbers. So usually in the Python environment, you don't have you don't have that kind of module. Is not loaded by default like the other math function, plus, minus, divided by, and all that. They are already loaded in Python. But other complex things, let's start with something simple. Let's say I want to find the square root of a number. Okay, let's say num1 equals to 36. So if I want to find the square root of the number, I can say square root. Let me use let's just call it result is equals to, remember I told you this one, right? Power. So if you raise anything to the power of 0.5, you can have it is square root, I think, if my math is correct, right? Let me see. Yes, you can see the answer is 6. But this is default use in Python. But there are a lot of functions. Like if I go to import, that is how you add a module to your code. Import math. Okay, I can call it math. And instead of using this, I can just use you have to call it like math.sqrt, that is the function for square root, and then I pass the 36 here. So now I still get the same answer. Some people don't like typing math anywhere when you want to call the members of this particular module. So they will say as, maybe M. So when you use it as M, then wherever you have math, now you can use M instead. So I can call it like this. If the answer is still 6, let's say we put another number, 81, num1. Now, actually, here I should be putting num1, yeah, so that when I change the value once, it will just change you see we have 9. So that is how you import a module. To show you another example, there are some bigger modules that people actually like to see. So I will quickly show you that, some of the data scientists I know are thinking, what about how do we plot graphs and what have you? So when you go to here, there is actually something that everybody almost use, which is the matplotlib. Yeah, I think I didn't load it in my Python, which will give me a little problem. But let me just quickly move to, my time is almost done, but I will just quickly move to Spider so that I can show you how to import all those big modules. It's loading. Yeah. Spider is good, when you plot your graphs, it will quickly show on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can actually go and look for your variables and see what is happening. Yeah, I'm going to save the file first. So for this example, I am going to import the matplot. Yeah, you can see it is there. So it is giving me suggestion. As usually people call it PLT in this kind of example. And another library for computation is the NumPy. I know my colleagues that will take you guys for the next Python tutorial will all cover this, but I just want to show you how quickly you can have this. So with this, we can create a variable like this: x is equals to np. Np, I imported numpy as np. Some call it numpy. Anyone you call it, is still the same, I think. So I use this. It's a class within that, which is line space. Then you give some input. See, it can give you even what the function does. Return evenly spaced numbers over a specified interval. Start, stop, and then the number of things you want. So I say 0 to 20, then number of divisions is 100. So from 0 to 20, it will divide it into 100 and give me the results. Then I will go to, now I have created the list, then I can go to like PLT, which is the matplotlib. I'm calling that module to plot x, comma, then let me make it simple for you. So I have the x, let's say the y-axis I want to plot, it should be the sign of that x. So sign x is you can get it from the numpy library. So that's why I use np sign of x. So now if I come here, I can say fplt x comma y. Then I go to plt.show, which is actually to show the plot. I click the green play button. So we have some error here. Module has no attribute plot. Okay, hold on. Yes. That is another disadvantage of not using the complete anaconda. Usually some of the values you have will not be available because I run this on my desktop computer and it was running clearly. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, let's not waste time. I will fix this while we go over for questions. I think this is the last slide we are going to look at, but we will take questions now from the Dr. Olainka. Are you there? I think the convener in the host is. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I think we have come to the end of this session.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, just like Dr. Suleiman had said, that we've come to the end of the introductory part of the Python programming language class. And this is going to serve as the base for the next class that we're going to have, which is going to be built upon the foundation that we have had today and that of last week. want to appreciate Dr. Suleiman for the effort you've gone through to be able to do this for us. We just pray that Almighty God will continue to strengthen you more and more and enrich you with more knowledge uh, in the name of the Almighty God. Ladies and gentlemen, please, like we've said before, that if you have any question, you can type your question, directly to Dr. Suleiman on his platform directly, or you can type it on the general platform so that we can all see, and Dr. Suleiman can also have access to that while he answers the question. So let me just say that we're going to have about maybe 10 minutes or so for you to turn your question in. So if you have any, please, we're ready. And I think Dr. Suleiman also is very much ready to have access to your question. Thank you.
Yes.
Any question from the audience? Any question from the audience? You can send your questions directly to Dr. Amzad Suleiman, or you can send your question directly to the general platform where we're going to have access as long as Dr. Suleiman, and he will attend to your question with justice. I hope you can all hear me. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. So please, if you have any question, we're waiting for your question to be turned in.
I think they don't have questions yet. Let me just quickly show what I was trying to show them before.
Okay.
That have a problem. Yeah.
So while you are doing that, please, you can turn in your questions to the general platform or to Dr. Suleiman directly. Thank you very much.
Okay. So can you see this chart here by the right side? Is it visible? So this is how you plot a chart. I just checked this like I didn't import the pie plot. I was quickly to import the matplotlib directly. So you have to include the pie plot here as PLT. Then when you give some values for X and Y, you can actually print it here. So sorry, this is, I can also change this to the line space in there of 0, 20, 100. So with the green thing, yeah, you can see this is a sine from 0 to 20, this plot of sine angle. So for those who are interested in this, we shall attend our next classes where we will cover the NumPy and matplotlib modules, which are very useful in data science and other things. Yeah.
So are you done, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like someone is writing.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. The first question is saying, how do we define a lot of data set as a class? Okay. So to do that, you actually you have to know the kind of the data set you have. If you have a data set, let's say like the example we use, you have data for maybe 1,000 people that they have their name, their age, and their, let's just leave it at these two. So what you do, you either import, if it is in a file, maybe a text file or something, there is, I know the next session they will cover the how to read data from external file. So in that case, when you read each data, before you process it further, you just use the class you have created to define it. Like, I don't know whether I've deleted that class thing. Yeah, I think I have deleted it. But remember when we have P1 is equals to person something like name, age. So when you read your data from the file, you will be passing it here. Maybe you will put these things in a for loop or something for some, you define it like that. So for all the file till the file finish to the end of file, you can take each name and create something like this. So when you create all this, now you have that access that you can do whatever you want to do with it. I hope this answers your question. The next one is, he said, I am running a deep learning program and it is throwing this error. Type error. List indices must be integers or slices, not tuple. Okay. I think this Isaac. What is happening to this is saying that you are passing. Remember when we have that list, right? We have fruit, right? We have apple, and quickly let me write this. So it's like you are trying, instead of saying to print maybe fruit with 1, like banana, you are putting maybe 1 point something. Maybe you didn't convert the data to integers before you print. So when I do like this, you can see it is giving me the same error. List indices must be integers or slices, not float. So check your code. Whatever you are passing to access the list is not an integer. You can do that. Like here, let's say I have let's call it index equals to 1.5. So if I want to pass it here to convert it to integer, then I can use int. Using int will never actually change it, but you can use maybe ceil or flow, which are the functions of, flow change number to 1.5 will be equals to 1. But I cannot use it directly. You have to call it import math. No, sorry. If you come here, it will give you a hint of what to do. Yeah. Import math the flow. Then I can enter the index here. So now I think we are, you can see it convert 1.5 to 1. When I have anything above 1. Flow, it always brings it down. If I use ceil, which is ceiling, short for ceiling, it will go up. It will be 2, and it will give us error because we don't have index 2. I hope this answers your question. I checked through the code and I can't really pinpoint where the error is coming from. I hope my explanation has given you this idea. You're actually giving a non-integer value as the index. Yes. Can we use this for linear regression? Yes, you can use it for linear regression, Tosin. There is actually good modules that have already defined how to use your linear regression. You just have to input your data and it will give you the output. Some people have spent their time to create that kind of modules. You have to use import and import that kind of module. I cannot say one now off the top of my head, but it is there. Yeah, you can search it. There is modules that can do that. Another question, I feel the index is integer because it was prefixed with int. I'm not a pro. I just started with Python. Yes, I have given you some answers here that you can use. If still it didn't solve the problem, you can talk to me on WeChat or on my email. I will give it at the end of this so that you can talk to me about that. Mr. Daniel is saying, apart from PyCharm, which other Python IDE is very efficient in manipulating a large amount of data without glitches? Yeah, for that, I will say you have to go with Spider. Spider is also very powerful, and it all comes down on your computer. No matter how powerful the IDE is, if your computer is not powerful, it will not, you will have some few glitches. But Spider is also very powerful. And yeah, that should do it. Okay, anyone?
Okay. Do we have anybody with questions?
You have to unmute them. Maybe some people want to talk, I think.
They can unmute themselves.
Okay. If you want to ask question, you can unmute yourself and talk. Yes.
Please, you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. I hope you can all hear me, ladies and gentlemen. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, somebody can hear me loud and clear. Okay. Do we have any other person?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I believe you can all hear me because at least two people have been able to say that they can hear me. Please, we wouldn't want to waste much of your time. So if you have questions, you can ask on the general platform or you ask Dr. Hamza at those point in time. Okay. Somebody says
Okay,
I can hear.
there is a question.
Okay.
There is a question. Someone is asking whether I am from a civil engineering background. Actually, my first degree is in mechanical engineering, but I got your question. What we need is you need if it is applied to structural engineering. Yeah, it can be applied. It depends on how you define your problem. Like I said in the first session, like I know if you are in civil engineering, you have used the software Abacus. So Abacus actually is written based on Python. So they use so many modules and what have you to create that package. Though some of the modules are proprietary, you cannot access them to use, but you can use their API. I personally use it if you know something about symmetric boundary conditions. When you want to apply a symmetric boundary condition, you have to find the nodes on the left-hand side and the right-hand side and do some calculations. So if the nodes are much, like in my case, about 1 million nodes in Abacus, I cannot do it by hand because you have to click this node and the opposite to pair it. So I wrote a Python script to actually search for the nodes and test their coordinate system, that is X, Y, and Z. If they are on the same level, then they are pairs. So I use that to solve one of the problems. So it can be used. You can write simple problems like trust system. You can use it in Python, solving a trust system. And you can also use it efficiently in finding the stiffness matrix of some of the elements if you are into finite element analysis. The next one is question was, which of the packages can be used for simulation? There are a lot of packages, but exactly I don't know which kind of simulation you want to do that I can recommend one now on top of my head. So it depends on which kind of simulations you use. Some of these have already been used to create powerful softwares that you can use, but those softwares may not be free. So you have to resort to writing your own simple code to solve the problem. I think that is all the questions that have been written down here.
Okay. We want to. Do we have any other question from the audience? Okay. If there's no other question, Dr. Hamza Suleiman, we want to greatly appreciate your time and your dexterity in trying to put us through all this programming classes. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you very much. Please, ladies and gentlemen, the video recording of this program shall be made available on all our social media platforms, the Facebook, the YouTube, and also the LinkedIn, our LinkedIn platform. So you can access them. However, to many people that are yet to join, I can make available the link from where you can be able to download the video recording that you can be able to make use for yourself. So at this point, like we have greatly appreciated Dr. Suleiman, and since we don't have any other question, I want to gracefully bring this program to a close. And don't forget that there's still going to be another program after this upon which they are going to build on the foundation we have had today. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much and have a beautiful night ahead. Thank you.
Yeah.